Las Vegas Home Star, and welcome to Chris Garcia, the Conservative American. What a beautiful, beautiful weekend it was. Absolutely fantastic. I had a beautiful Christmas with my wife and my friends and my children. It was just absolutely gorgeous. Wonderful weekend, beautiful weather here in Las Vegas. I ate way too much. I probably put on 5 pounds. My wife, Cian, made an absolutely fantastic Christmas dinner. I hope that your Christmas was half as good as mine. But of course, it's just a blessing to just wake up surrounded by your loved ones, because we've lost so many loved ones. Everyone has. Everybody has experienced loss. And so it is fantastic to wake up on Christ's Day and look around and see your loved ones, your spouse and your children, your parents, your grandparents, and the rest of your family. It's just such a blessing to wake up on Christmas Day. I don't always like to talk about my religion, but just to me, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. He is my brother, and I celebrate his day. And I woke up like I always do, praying, but I said a special prayer of thanks for him, because he died on the cross for me so that my sins can be forgiven and I can be Father one day when my time comes. But with that being said, I want to send our special Merry Christmas, even though it is a little bit late, to all of our troops. I wish them Merry Christmas on the last show Friday, and I'm wishing them Merry Christmas today. I know it's tough being away from your loved ones on the holidays, and just be safe and please come home. You are always in our thoughts and prayers here at Radio Tribune. With that being said, I want to talk to you about a few things going on in the country. One of the main things is the marijuana laws that are definitely going state by state. They have made it legal in California, legal here in the state of Nevada. And it's going to be very interesting to me how law enforcement enforces the laws on the marijuana issue. Here in Las Vegas, you have some casinos that will allow patrons to smoke in their rooms while others will not. Also, as far as driving under the influence, we know how it is with alcohol, but how will they judge how a person is impaired if they're smoking marijuana? How will they know if they're still high? Will there be breathalyzer tests to detect if a person is high off of marijuana? How can you determine if somebody is transporting or bagging for sales and personal use? There are so many confusing issues to me. Me personally, I am torn on the issue. I understand its medicinal purposes, its medicinal values, as well as the money financially it can bring in to each state. A lot of states are just billions of dollars over budget. The economy is sinking in a lot of states. And I know as far as law enforcement is concerned, bringing money into schools, bringing money into businesses opening up that have to do with marijuana, they'll also be paying state taxes. It can be a very lucrative thing as far as reaping in the benefits of, people having to have licenses to have marijuana with, medical marijuana cards. People have to pay for those, and so on and so forth. You can see the taxes and the money that could possibly be brought into each state. But me personally, having dealt with addictions in my own life and getting over those things years ago, it's hard for me to understand how the financial aspect of it is going to benefit when you have children, which will have even more access than they already do to marijuana. I think that it's going to be a slippery slope, and we don't need any more impaired people on our highways and on our streets. And I think marijuana, unlike alcohol, is going to be even more difficult to determine whether a person is impaired. Are they sleepy? Are they tired? Is it the effects of marijuana? When is the last time that they use? Things that are so easy to be determined if a person is drunk under the influence from alcohol, where they just have to take a test, where they have to do a breathalyzer, where they have to get out and walk. You can easily detect whether a person is under the influence from alcohol. I think it would be that much harder to detect whether a person is under the influence of marijuana. How much can they smoke? How much can they use? What is the determining factor on whether they are high, whether they're under the influence, or whether they're just using it for medicinal purposes, or, how much can a person use? There are so many questions and so many laws that I think can be very blurry. I think that these are things that should be thought through state to state, county to county, and definitely I hope that they are thought through across the United States of America before we make them law all over the country. It's going to be very, very, very difficult uh, for them for law enforcement to enforce the laws, of medical marijuana. It's going to be very, very, very difficult. Um, I also think that it's going to be very hard for law enforcement. What are they going to tell the people that they have already incarcerated? People that have been locked up for years, as far as transporting marijuana across state lines and so on and so forth. It's going to be very, very difficult to look at those people and determine why are they locked up? Why were they incarcerated for so many years of their life away from their families? And yet now that you're going to say that it's legal. I think that that's a very difficult thing to do. I thought for many things, there have been many points in my life where I believe that a lot of drugs are going to be made legal eventually. And I think marijuana is just the first of, I think, many drugs that in the future could possibly be legalized. And my thing is, how do you look at the people that have spent so many years of their life incarcerated, people that have given up so much of their life away from their family, away from their children, and look at them and say, well, now things are legal. I know you can say where they weren't legal at that time, but some of those people are saying, hey, I was using this drug for medical reasons. I was smoking marijuana for medical reasons, whether it be cancer or cataracts or whatever, and just for pain. And it was medically helping me. I wasn't using it as an addict. I think a lot of these people have a grievance. I mean, I think that prescription drugs is the biggest problem that this country faces, not marijuana. I don't personally believe marijuana should be legal, but I do understand the argument against it. I do understand the financial benefits. I do understand the medical benefits. While I don't myself personally believe it should be legal, I understand the other argument. But I don't think that marijuana is the biggest problem in this country. I think prescription drugs are. And if people can legally go get prescription drugs and abuse it, how do you look at people that have been locked up for years over very small, simple marijuana charges and now say that the drug is now going to be legal? I think that's a very difficult argument to make. So many police man hours have been put into hunting down people that have been using marijuana. So many judges have given out so many incarceration hours for people that were using marijuana, to now look at those people and say, why are they incarcerated? Are they going to let them out? Some of these people that have picked up petty marijuana charges had their records ruined. When your record gets ruined, if they were charged with a felony, if they had enough marijuana on them or in their vehicle or in their home, once you pick up those felony charges, it is very difficult to get a job. It's affected and ruined many people's lives all over the country. And now you're going to turn around and say that that is legal. I think that's a very difficult argument. I used to think about that all the time. How do you look at people that have spent years of their life incarcerated and away from their family and now tell them that this drug is legal? I think it's a very difficult thing to do. And I don't know what's going to happen going forward from state to state. But I think it's going to be a very, very interesting battle because certain states are so underwater as far as their economic situation is concerned. Hundreds of millions, some states, billions of dollars in debt to the federal government. And if they can, I remember they tried casinos decades ago in certain states like Mississippi and Illinois. And while that has brought in some money, I think if you legalize marijuana in some of these states, the financial benefit can be twofold over any riverboat casinos or riverboat gambling that some of these states have legalized. So, and then the only thing is you have to say, well, what's next? If you legalize marijuana today, what would you legalize tomorrow? And what's going to be the legal age? How much can a person have on them? Where can they smoke it out? Because one of the main things about marijuana is that everybody doesn't like the smell. I mean, you've already outlawed cigarette smoke in most public places. A lot of people have asthmatic and breathing problems, and they don't like to smell cigarette smoke. They don't like to smell tobacco smoke, cigars. Marijuana is a much stronger smell. So if you legalize it in a specific area in a business or in a casino here in Las Vegas, if you're able to smoke marijuana in your room in private, what about the smell that goes through the wall? What about the smell that goes up and down the hallway? I know now that if you come in town in Las Vegas and you stay a lot of casinos, when you get off the elevator on certain floors, you can smell that people are using marijuana, and everybody doesn't like that smell. So if you legalize it and allow people to do it in certain public places, you're going to offend a lot of other people. So, what will be the financial aspect if a lot of people decide that they don't want to stay in a casino where there's legal marijuana? They don't want their kids around it. They don't want their kids to smell it. They don't want to smell it themselves. It can be a very, very tricky situation. And we had the district attorney on, Steve Wilson, a few weeks ago, and I was asking him that question, and him himself said, I don't know. I don't know how we are going to, law enforcement is going to enforce the laws on marijuana. It's going to be very difficult because each casino is going to have to make up their mind whether or not they're going to allow marijuana to be used in their hotel, even though, as I told you, a lot of times when you come in to these casinos and you get off on certain floors, you can already smell that people are smoking marijuana. And of course, that's illegal right now at this point to do that. But, these casinos are making up their mind. And I've heard that there will be certain casinos that will allow you to smoke marijuana in your room. What effect will that have on people, patrons that do not enjoy the smell, that don't want their kids to be around it, don't want their family to be influenced by it? Again, when those people leave the casinos, how do you know whether they're going to be under the influence? We already have a big enough problem in this city, in this state, with DUIs because, most people that go out enjoy spirits of some sort. They enjoy alcohol when they're at the casinos. And a lot of people, when they leave the casinos, are legally impaired. So now you have another element that you can put into that. Now people, if they're allowed to smoke marijuana in these rooms, will be leaving the casino under the influence of marijuana as well as alcohol. I think that can be a very, very, very tricky situation for law enforcement to take care of. I just hope that there's a lot of thought that's given into these decisions before they're just made. I know that a lot of people are just looking at the financial aspect of it, but we also need to look at the legal and the real factors that can happen out here on our roads. Once a person gets into a car, that is a lethal weapon. And if you're under the influence of anything, prescription drugs, any other drugs, marijuana, alcohol, you are now in control of a killing machine. And we've already had incidents in Las Vegas on the Strip of people running into multiple pedestrians on the road, running into bus stops. And that's one of the last things we need is somebody tripping out because they're too high on marijuana, getting in the car. And, our streets here are so crowded, especially on the Strip. And it's so easy to hit some of our pedestrians. I think it could turn out to be a very dangerous situation. And I just hope that they are as on top of that. There's nothing wrong, I think, with people, and this is where I'm split at, in their home with medical situations, smoking in their home, if it's going to help them medically, or even if there's people that just enjoy marijuana themselves and want to smoke a small bit in their house. But I think that it should be totally outlawed that you are then able to get into a car and operate. I have a lot of people that I've heard say, well, I can drive while I'm high on marijuana, and it's actually I'm much more in control of my vehicle than when I'm a little buzzed drinking alcohol. That's not an excuse. I think that once you do anything, whether you drink or use any kind of drug, you are impaired, and the last thing you should be thinking about is getting behind the vehicle of a car. You're driving something that weighs a ton and is a killing machine. If you are just a little bit off of your game or a little bit influenced, your reactionary time is not what it's supposed to be. You can take someone's life. And I think that is something that hopefully people that have their medical marijuana cards, people that are smoking at home, or if you're out and you're in a casino and you're smoking, or anywhere that you're at, please allow yourself time to recuperate before you get behind a motor vehicle or get on a motorcycle or anything, because you can take someone's life. And I think that, you don't want to mess up your records. You don't want to get a driving under the influence. So please, I hope that people out there that even have legal marijuana cards, medical marijuana cards, recuperate before they get behind a motor vehicle, because you could take somebody's life out there, and that's something that you would regret for the rest of your life. I want to thank you for watching my show today. I'm always going to talk to you about interesting, hard-hitting subject as this. I'm split on the marijuana issue. I understand the finance that it can bring into your city or your state. I understand that. But please understand people that have lost their lives to people that have been under the influence of drugs or alcohol. You have to understand where those people are coming from and what they've gone through. They're never going to get their loved ones back. And it is so easy for a person to get into a car and think that they're under the control of their situation, but they are impaired. And you don't want to do that. And just take time at home. Go to sleep. Take time to recuperate. Do not get behind the vehicle if you are influenced by anything that you think that can impair your driving. I want to thank you for watching. I will be on tomorrow from 1 to 1:30 following Face the Tribune with the legendary Rolando LaRosse. I am your host, Chris Garcia. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow. And once again, watch us later on YouTube along with Face the Tribune. We will be up. And tomorrow I'll be on from 1 to 1:30 Pacific time. You can call in and talk to me live or Rolando LaRosse, 702-983-0711. Thank you so much for watching. God bless America. God bless our troops all over the world. And Godspeed to the President-elect Donald Trump. Thank you for watching.